What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm once again joined by Tyler, and we are back with our Avengers Endgame community series, a community series that's been airing on our channel every single day, talking about the movie. Now the movie is actually out. We've had tons of videos already talking about multiple aspects of the film, and we're going to be continuing it every single day here on the channel. So make sure you guys subscribe and hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. In this video, we want to talk about the ending again. Now, a lot of the videos we have made actually have only come from the ending, because the ending is one of the most talked about things that we can think of. The ending, obviously, and again, this is a very heavily spoiler-filled video. You probably already saw that from the title, so we're sorry about that there. But again, we're going to spoil the movie. If you guys don't want to hear about it, please do not watch. But we want to talk about if Captain America should have died instead of Tony Stark. So obviously, the ending happened. We see Thanos just about to snap his fingers. Tony gets in the way, and he transfers it to himself. He's the one to make the snap, defeats Thanos, saves the universe, all that stuff, and Tony Stark ends up dying. Now, they could have killed Captain America. We made videos, and Tyler has said it in the past, we've made a lot of theory videos on this movie. We made 6 in all. We got 5 of the 6 right. The only one we got wrong was saying that Captain America would die. And the question, I guess, would be is, could that have happened? Would that have been a better thing to do, killing Captain America at the end? And we can talk about if he should have died throughout the film or whatever, but also, it should have been swapped, basically. Should Captain America have died and Tony survive? So, Tyler, obviously, you and me both really, really liked the ending. You were just telling me, before we recorded, and I completely agree. The ending for both those characters were perfect. I think there was exactly what, the send-off we needed and we wanted and they deserved for both those characters. But could it have worked, I guess, or would you have liked to see it, or however you want to phrase it, if it was reversed, if Captain America died and Tony didn't?
No, it wouldn't have worked. And the reason really is because, well, there's 2 things, and what's actually kind of funny about it, and I haven't seen anybody really say this yet in articles or even I've only watched a few videos, but I mean we're literally filming these right after seeing the movie, so there's not that much that I could have seen yet. But if you think about how Tony Stark died and lived, right, in Endgame, and you think about what happens with Steve Rogers, when you think about it, it's actually very similar, because Tony Stark, as he dies, and we know that, but he got to live a life with his wife Pepper and have a kid, and he had that for 5 years. He got to put down the suit, right? He got to, and it would be the same case for Cap. You get to put down the shield, but Tony Stark got to put down the suit, set everything aside, and live and have a family. He got to do that, okay? And he had it for, again, 5 years, and then he comes out of it because it's Tony Stark, and he needs to do the right thing. This is his destiny, and he knows it. So for him to die after getting that life that he never had, after getting that life, it makes sense for him to die, because he got that. He got family. He got all that. When you look at Steve Rogers, he never got that. He never got to be with Peggy. His whole life that we've followed Steve Rogers for, all of the Captain America movies, all of the Avengers movies, they've covered not in Infinity War, but they've covered how he loves Peggy. He constantly thinks of Peggy. He feels terrible that he never got that dance with her. He never got it. He never got to be with her. That is looming over his character. Steve Rogers, he sacrifices himself so that others can have those things while he can't, right? And think about it. Steve Rogers sacrificed himself. He was doing these therapy groups, telling people everything's going to be okay, we got to move on, all these things, trying to keep some of the Avengers a little bit together. Mainly Black Widow was doing that, but he still was doing some stuff, staying at the base, and when Scott Lang comes to tell him about the time travel, he's totally like, yeah, we're going to get the band back together, and we're going to fix this, we're going to do this. And he has to go to Tony Stark, who didn't have to worry about anything, had a life. Steve sacrificed so that Tony could have a life, the life that Steve never got a chance to have. He was pulled out of time. So hopefully you're following what I'm saying. And because he sacrificed and Tony had that, it made sense that Tony had to die because he got to experience family. He had all that, and that was done. It was enough for him. Now, and like I said in another video, Steve, his whole life, he's been at constant war. He had World War II, then he had the Avengers, alien invasion. He had S.H.I.E.L.D. actually being Hydra, that whole fight. Then he had Ultron, that whole fight. Then he had Civil War. Then he had to survive because he was a vigilante. Then he had Infinity War. Then he had Endgame, which was literally the fight for the entire universe. He was at constant war. Now the war's over. The war has been won. Now it's time for him, who's sacrificed his entire life. It's time for him to put down his shield, to pass on the shield, and to be able to go and live and have a family, just like he's allowed everybody else to do. All of his sacrifices were so that everybody can live, everybody can be happy, everybody can be together. That's what he did. He was a soldier at war. Why do you go and fight? Why do these people go and fight that defend us in real life? So that we can have our freedom, so that we can get married and have kids and live while they can possibly die. That's what these soldiers do. That's what Steve Rogers does. His time's done. Now it's time for him to no longer sacrifice. It's time for him to get that life, which is the perfect ending for him, and he gets that. He finally gets to be with Peggy. He gets to dance. He finally gets that dance. He gets to marry her. So he finally gets that life that he never had. So really, if you think about it on a scale of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, Tony Stark's just ahead of Steve Rogers. By the time where Tony Stark had his family, Steve Rogers is still at war. At the time of death for Tony Stark, after he had his family and he's okay with it, he was ready. He knew what he was going to do. He made that message. But at the time of Tony Stark's death, ending the war, it also ended the war that Steve Rogers has been in. Tony Stark's sacrifice also allowed for Steve Rogers to now have a family. Just like Steve Rogers' sacrifice allowed for Tony and everybody else in Infinity War, in Endgame, and in all the other, any war he was in, it allowed them to have a family. Now Tony Stark's sacrifice allowed Steve Rogers to have a family and to move on. And then, obviously, eventually, as the years go on, Peggy would pass away, and later on, he would eventually pass away as well, just like any regular person would do. So when you think of it like that, a man who's always been at war, sacrificing for others, he doesn't deserve to die in battle. He's a hero. He's a war hero. And he did it for everybody else. He deserves his time not to rest. He deserves his time to be with the one that he loves because he has that chance, and then to rest. Just like Tony Stark deserved to be with the ones he loved, then that time it was done, and then it was time for him to rest as well. So it's really the same thing. Just like I said, Tony Stark, they're on the same path, just one was a little bit farther ahead than the other. So in my opinion, no, Steve Rogers, after seeing how they did it, no, Steve Rogers should not have died. Steve Rogers should have, the ending for him should be exactly what they gave him, because it was perfect. And yes, Tony Stark should have died. You can watch that video as to why he needed to die. We have that. But yeah, what they did, how they did it, perfect. It's the perfect, full circle, full ending, character arc, all of it for Steve Rogers. I loved it. And hopefully, some of the stuff that I said here makes some sense, resonates with you. It's something maybe that you haven't heard yet somewhere else.
The way they ended it, they obviously had to make a choice of choosing who was going to be the one to actually do it, figuring out what to do with Captain America. And I think they made the right choice. I think, like we said in the beginning of the video, I think that the decisions they made and the ending of the movie for both these characters was pretty much what you would have hoped to see. And I think they did a really, really awesome job. And like Tyler said, Cap being able to kind of retire and to just do what he actually wanted to do this whole time, this thing that's been kind of, just looming around. The fact that he got to actually do that by possibly breaking some time travel rules that we talked about in a past video, and Tony, going through quite the character change throughout this entire 10, 11 years of these Marvel movies, and being the character that he was, and we talked about the importance of his death a couple days ago. Again, it makes sense that it was him to do it, and it really cements his legacy, and it doesn't take away from Cap's at all either. I mean, and Cap got to have his, I think, with how they chose to do the Thanos fight, which I absolutely loved. Obviously, Tony got to be the one to finish it off, right, to actually snap his fingers, to sacrifice himself in the end for the entire universe to destroy Thanos. But Cap got his time too, right? He went one-on-one with Thanos. He got a lot of really good hits in. He had that epic scene that, we didn't really see. I mean, Iron Man got to fight him in Infinity War, and that was a really cool scene too. But, Captain America, besides holding his hand open right before he got to Wanda, that was really his only encounter with Thanos. So getting to see that really epic moment at the end of Endgame was one of the best scenes in the movie, I thought. And it kind of just showed like one last time of him just being how amazing he is. And again, the ending I think was pretty good for what the characters kind of deserved and what they have been through throughout this whole time. So I think they made the right choice. Obviously, it added to the sadness. I mean, one of the main reasons why it was so sad that Tony died is because he did have Pepper, right? That he did have his daughter. And the fact that he did get to live so many years with them, he got to, have 5 years with them. It's kind of sucks that he gets taken away from them after establishing that relationship for 5 years. But you could also argue, like Tyler was saying, he got that time. At least he got that time to be able to do that. Captain America never got that time. So, I think it ended up working out really, really great for both of them. So let us know in the comments below, guys. People have been talking about this. What do you think? Do you think Captain America should have died instead of Tony Stark? What do you think? Let us know. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And again, we've been doing these videos every single day on Avengers Endgame. We're going to be continuing it over the next week plus on our channel. We really appreciate you guys, as always, watching our videos, and we hope to see you on the next one.